So I am going to bring to the stage our last pitch presenter of the evening. So we have Dr. Bahram Gaderi, who is the founder of a company called Plasbotics. And Dr. Gaderi is, again, the founder and innovator of this company, and he is going to tell us all about it because it's very exciting. Go ahead and share your slides, and we're excited to hear.
Good evening, everyone, and it was great to follow these two amazing talks, and can't say enough. I was actually listening to it very intently.
We know that this company is a little earlier than some of our other Pitch Club companies, but we had a very good reason for bringing them on this evening. So I'm going to let Dr. Gaderi give his presentation, and he has a very specific ask of our Angel MD community. So wait for that. Go ahead, Dr. Gaderi.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to present to your group tonight. It is a great group, and from the two talks I've heard, this is amazing to be involved with it. My name is Bahram Gaderi. I'm a plastic surgeon, 20 years in private practice, and my partner, Dr. Luhovi, is a biomedical engineer and an MD. And we founded Plasbotics to bring a new surgical device to market. Over the last 20 years, as you've seen with Dr. Levine and even the earlier presentation, everything is becoming automated, especially surgical things, even robotics. Soft tissue surgery has really not caught up with that, like intra-abdominal and thoracic surgery. And I've seen over the years, I do a lot of breast reconstructions, and I've seen breast surgeons very frustrated with how many times you hear, I'm never doing this procedure again. Nipple-sparing mastectomies have small incisions, often in uncomfortable position for the surgeon. You just watch them and their assistants working together, and they keep moving their assistants' arms, and sometimes that doesn't work with skin tears and buttonholing the skin. So I was wondering why we can't do robotic surgery to this. This would be such a good thing with the 3D visualization, magnification, and the articulation of the arms. Found out that the one thing that soft tissue has different is you need retraction. Retraction is important in everything you do. Even to use that great tool that Mr. Levine presented, you do have to get past that soft tissue. So soft tissue retraction is important in every procedure. And right now, robotic retractors are just not performing well at all, and if poorly. We're basically applying a analog dial-up internet model to robotic surgery, which is your 5G broadband. And it just doesn't, the two don't connect yet, and we need that connection. And that's the problem that we have right now. The system variability, we've made the surgeons become away from the surgeon, but we still have their assistants and their retractors still be attached to the patient. More and more, there are many benefits from that. Not only you get more consistency, you go away from this heavy, cumbersome, complicated retractors that are currently being tried to apply to robotic surgery for soft tissue. And so since surgeons don't have an option, there's less adoption of this until now. So we have come up with, just imagine with us, I know that we are at our early stages, so if you can imagine along with me, a much more sleek, more intuitive, more biomimetic type of retractor, which then takes the assistant away from the field as well. So it does facilitate to be able to have robotic surgery be applied to soft tissue, which we all use everywhere, from the abdomen to the breast, which is I work with mostly. And vacuum-assisted technology has been proven in many different fields. For example, I think everybody's heard about wound vacs, breast pumps, even for obviously breastfeeding moms. Even athletes use cupping. There's many benefits to it. So if we can come up with something that's intuitive, that allows the surgeons to actually do the procedures like the mastectomy as if they were doing it with an open method, kind of like what robotic surgery, when you're doing it through the abdomen, they're blowing up the abdomen, they're creating that tension for them, and they do it very much like laparoscopic surgery, so it's more adaptable. So our model is, instead of pushing the door open, which would be insufflation, is to obviously pull the door open, which would be vacuum assisted. So VacuLift is our technology. It is way more efficient, more stable, and definitely necessary to bridge that gap between being able to do robotic surgery and apply all these new technologies. And just imagine something like that imaging scanner to be able to see real live imaging as you go through a tumor. Even just imagine a lumpectomy. The one thing that women obviously stress over, and the process is very stressful, is you have a lumpectomy, you wait a week, and then somebody tells you the margin is still positive, you still got to go back. That is, the process even is not good, never mind the diagnosis. So there are two parts to our product. One part is the shell, where you can have, as you see on top on the right, a suction method to be able to move the tissue. And again, just mimic what you normally would do in a surgery so that surgeons are able to adapt to this easily. With that, you can attach imaging, so you can see real-time images. You can attach pathologic things where the lumpectomy site can actually be evaluated at the time of surgery, and if you need to take more, you do more. And the other part would be maybe smaller areas, more fragile areas, where you just need kind of an octopus arm type, very gentle retraction of a tissue that needs to be treated softly. But as a conceptual image on the bottom, you can see just attached the TUMI syringe to a suction in an operating room, and that breast can be moved. And obviously those suction cups can be varying sizes. We are at an early stage. We do have a patent issued for the vacuum shell with the suction cup. I have another one that we have pending. That's the biomimetic arm that is expected to be issued in early 2022. We have had the luck of having independently subject matter experts at Cleveland Clinic validate this by saying that it's unique and also very promising. These are independent people that we never met, so I take that as a positive sign that even though we're early, I think we can accelerate very fast to be able to provide this to patients and to surgeons. So our timeline kind of is divided by COVID, as most things are these days. Before COVID, we had our patents, one issued, one pending. Cleveland Clinic gave us a light to say, go ahead, and this is a good thing to pursue. So we founded Plasbotics this year, just a few months ago. And Dr. Lohobi has put a lot of effort into obviously creating the awareness. And our 2022 is going to be our big year. We want our functional prototype made. We expect the patent to be granted and move on to regulatory approval, and eventually do a licensing agreement with the big players of the robotic industry, and in the end, have an exit strategy by being acquired. So we have two asks. One of them is funding to be able to get a good team together of an engineer that is forward thinking and be able to put together a prototype that's functional and get proof of concept. And hand in hand with that goes the ability to be able to connect with others in your network and anybody that might be able to help put our team together. So thank you again for listening, and any questions are welcome, and any help is also welcome as well. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Guderi, again, thank you for presenting for us tonight and telling us all about this innovative solution. So you mentioned in your talk that this has implications for all of robotic surgery. What do you think it is about the vacuum retractor that makes it so universally necessary?
Well, if you want to apply robotic surgery, one of them would be, just like I was mentioning, is that so that the surgeon can feel like they're just doing surgery as if they were doing open surgery. And one thing that you need is an assistant to basically retract the skin. A lot of times, if you have multiple arms there, they cling together, they're busy. Even today, I was trying to do something, and as an assistant, as great as she was, and I wouldn't do any surgery without her, was getting in the way of doing things. And we were trying to do smaller incisions, be able to injure tissue less. So with the retraction being able to do automatically and independent of a human being, then the surgeon can focus on the important parts of the surgery, like preserving blood vessels and nerves and less tissue injury.
Great. And I know you guys are still early in the process, but talk a little bit more about where you are in your development process. And you mentioned a couple of ways our network can support you, but I want you to reiterate those as well.
Yeah, the funding to go from this concept that has a lot of traction from the surgeons I talked to, and again, the Cleveland Clinic evaluation independently, to be able to just prove concept, to get an engineer, to get the equipment that we need through the funding, and be able to put a team together to show proof of concept with a functional prototype.
Great. And a couple of questions from our audience this evening. Questions around the vacuum strength itself. So, one, how strong is the vacuum? Does it cause bruising? Is there a risk of failure? And then another question related to that, how do you work around the vacuum, so to speak, and still maintain that vacuum effect? I mean, clearly you showed in one of your pictures the ability to kind of move the tissue around. So talk a little bit more about that.
So each area of the body is going to have a different need. One of them would be, for example, let's say you're doing a carpal tunnel, you can almost put a box on there and create that suction and be able to just do the surgery almost again, instead of insufflation, which may be very difficult to do in that small area and maybe harmful to our nerve to get compressed. You put suction on there and be able to pull the skin very much like an assistant would. And that would be worked out in the lab to be able to see which areas of the body are going to have different strengths of suction needed. For example, body can tolerate in a short time span 500 millimeters of mercury, but maybe a shorter span, maybe 60 or a longer span of time, a smaller amount. So that would just depend on the length of surgery, which area of the skin. For example, back may tolerate more. Bruising may happen, very much like cupping, but those resolve.
Well, Dr. Guderi, we really appreciate you being here this evening and presenting this to our network. I am guessing there are probably several folks in our audience that may be interested in being advisors. Again, thank you so much for being here.